Now it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today. So Peter Velikan is an entrepreneur and a marketing executive with a 20-plus year track record of building companies and commercializing technologies in multiple high-tech and consumer product industries. Prior to joining CPAL, Peter has built international brands through continuous 100% plus annual growth and industry performance leading marketing campaigns. Peter, it's great to have you with us. I'm really looking forward to the presentation. And with that, I will pass it off to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Sheila. And thanks, everyone, for joining today's session. Success metrics for marketing, a topic that's very, very dear to me. And I think it's really, really important for every business. So first, I'll start by trying to explain to you why I think metrics are so important for marketing success. I'll then dive a little bit into demand generation metrics and brand building metrics, and I'll finish with sales and marketing accountability, where the rubber meets the road at the end, and which is really, really important. And as Sheila mentioned, we'll have a short Q&A session at the end. So first, a few facts. Staffing firms, we all know they operate on a very lean budget. You have small marketing budgets, you need to be prudent. At the same time, if your marketing efforts are delivering a positive ROI, say, for example, if for every marketing dollar you spend, you generate 10 or maybe $100 of new business, you technically would have a virtually unlimited budget because you will keep growing your business. Now, the caution is that reckless marketing spend, that's the fastest way to get into financial trouble because marketing dollars can go quickly and you can get in trouble. So pretty concerning. One of the stats from Brafton is that over 20% of marketers rarely measure marketing campaign success. Well, given that, it's no wonder that only 39% of companies say their marketing strategy is effective. And having set such a low bar, then we're not surprised that if you document your marketing strategy, you're basically 80% there for success there. Marketers with a documented strategy are 313% more likely to report success. I keep thinking when I think of these metrics and lack of success, there's this old cliche that marketers in the past, they used to say that 50% of your marketing budget is wasted. They just didn't know which half. The sad part is that today we very well know which half. Because in the digital world, you can measure everything. You can measure your leads. You can measure the effectiveness of your spend. You can measure impact of social media. You can even measure TV audience impact. And yet, 50% of the budget at the end still gets wasted. Why is that? Well, I think part of it is because if you don't have the right metrics, you basically figure out what you have spent and what the effectiveness has been long after you've spent it. You have never actually measured it as you're spending and you're not monitoring to be able to react quickly. So some of the problems that marketers face is that they fail to identify metrics that measure the true business impact of marketing campaigns. Yes, there are many metrics, there are too many measurements and so on, too much detail that at the end gets all lost. Of course, I as a marketer, I care about your website visits and your SEO traffic and conversion rates and click-through rates on your emails and retweets and likes on social media and so on. Does your CEO really care? Does the business really care about those things? I don't think so. So if you go way into the weeds, you quickly have lost the meaning of trying to keep measure and really be impactful. And as a result, quite often, even if you have metrics, there's no alignment of these marketing metrics with what truly matters for your business, for the real impact for your business. So let's think about it. So how do you proceed? I think the first step is take a step back and look what your business goals are and define your marketing goals. So what are you trying to do? Are you trying to generate new business? To bring in new clients, new business for your firm? Are you trying to build your brand so you can make your firm more attractive to consultants? Or are you trying to help your sales team be more effective at closing their deals? So depending on which one it is, and of course you can have all three of them as goals, but there are different metrics, different things you need to measure for each of these strategies. So define the strategy, and then keep it simple. Try to find metrics that are easy to measure, easy to maintain, and easy to present in an executive conversation. Because at the end of the day, the business impact is really what matters. So let's dive in now into some of the specifics. So marketing demand generation metrics. So what I think at the end of the day really matters at a high level is how much business your campaigns have generated for your company. So that's measured as number of deals or associated revenue. And the second part is how much have you spent for getting this business? So what's your cost per deal, and what's the cost of recurring dollars of revenue that different clients bring? So at the end of the day, honestly, these are the only metrics my CEO cares. These are the only metrics the investors care. And everything else you tell them is unnecessary detail. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't and you don't need to, as a marketer or someone that's responsible for marketing, think at somewhat deeper level. Of course you do. That's at the end the impact. But so some of the things that you need to start thinking is start thinking of the various channels that you're spending your money, the various campaigns. So what is the cost per lead for the different campaigns? What's the conversion rate? So you've got the lead. So how many of those have actually turned into deals? And how big are those deals? So, you may be getting many deals, but if they're tiny deals, maybe one where you're getting like a higher value, it's more important. So I'll give you an example for us specifically at CFAL. So for our digital campaigns, for example, leads that we get from third-party review sites such as Capterra, Software Advice, GetUp, they convert very well. And so those are different companies who are actively searching software. They're searching a new talent acquisition platform, a new applicant tracking system. So they're in the process. So yes, we pay a lot of money for those, and they convert at a higher level. Now I'll contrast with LinkedIn, which is now my favorite channel. So LinkedIn, in contrast, the conversion rate is lower. It's probably about half. So it's significantly lower in terms of conversion rate for LinkedIn. And no surprise, because we are reaching out and we can very easily today go and target the right audience, the right target that will be the decision maker, but there's no guarantee they're looking for a solution right now. We may get them at the wrong time. So it's no surprise that they convert, even if they like whatever we're offering, they want to begin a conversation, they may not be ready. They may not be at the right time. But here's the thing. It costs us 1 quarter to get a LinkedIn lead of what it costs us to get a lead, what we pay to get a lead on Capterra or Software Advice. So at the end, when you take half the conversion rate but quarter of the cost, it still turns out that we're driving business through LinkedIn at half the cost of the other channels. So that's the type of analysis. As you see, it's not quite detailed, but it's important enough to tell me that now I need to put more dollars and prioritize spend on LinkedIn because it's a great channel for us. Try to do something similar for your different channels, different campaigns. How much are you spending? How many deals are you getting? Are they converting, and how big are the deals? Now, one caution over here. So yes, you probably, as you look at kind of the granular level, you may be able to find some channels that are just great. You're getting like the best business that very, very cost effectively. Now, the problem is not every channel can be scaled. So yes, you may drive a few new clients or new deals that you can bring in very, very cost effectively, but can you really scale it? And would you be getting the same cost effectiveness as you scale and you go up? And that's not always true. So again, it take a step back, kind of before you implement, think it through. Is it scalable? Is it possible? If it is, yes, go definitely behind it and after it. If it isn't, yeah, it may be a niche and you keep it on the side, but in terms of your efforts, in terms of where you put your time, really focus on when you can make the biggest impact. Because at the end of the day, it's all about helping your business and your company, be very pragmatic. So again, do this analysis on a channel basis, but also be realistic what's scalable and what's not. And I have a kind of an example, a use case specifically for staffing firms, what I would do in your shoes. So figure out the different campaign that you're doing and monitor the total number of client leads that you have generated, for example, for the different campaigns. Just measure and record it. And then calculate for each of these leads, just calculate what percentage of them your team has been able to connect with. Now make sure that's a measure also for your team. You also want to make sure that they have attempted to connect with them and that they have diligently followed up, so you can see that and follow. And then, but just keep track of what percentage of these leads your team has been connected with. In fact, a lot of these things you can run in CPAL, and as you probably will be seeing, I encourage you, if you haven't, go check out our CRM presentation, because there's going to be a lot more you can do on this respect with CPAL, some of our new releases. So you calculate the percentage of leads that your team connects with, and then go and figure out the win-loss ratio per lead. Okay, you've connected, you've tried to pitch. Did you win it? Did you lose it? What percentage did you win? And then of those that you won, what's the value of that client? So very quickly, you can figure out how many dollars have you driven or are you driving, how many recurring dollars or one-time dollars you have driven for pretty much every dollar you have spent on a various campaign. I don't think it's very complicated, to be honest. I think it takes just a little bit of discipline to document it, but none of these things get too much in the weeds. I think easy enough, the calculation will be interesting and informative to your executives, and I absolutely think this will drive the right decisions for you to figure out where do you spend your money. Now let's get to the other side, so brand building. So brand is important on multiple fronts. Of course, your firm's reputation is really important for your clients in building new business. And on the other hand, it's hugely important with attracting candidates, with attracting consultants to want to work for you. And I mean, the staffing industry and the talent acquisition in general, it's a pretty tough business because the barriers to entry are very low. I mean, you can have new firms pop up, and they do every day. So your brand really matters, quite often more than in other industries. I mean, if you have this new technology that is the only one on the market and no one else has, you know, that's one thing. But when you're in a services business, really caring and building your brand and your reputation, that should be something that you care and you measure. Now, the other thing is, how do you measure? Because this is such an kind of an amorphous topic, and I think that's part of the problem. It's, you know, sometimes we all like to think well of us, and we hear the positive things, and we sort of don't want to hear the negative things. But how can you really objectively measure how your brand is doing? So there are three. I'll share what we do, because I mean, brand, you know, it applies to us for CPAL. So we have I have three measures that I look for our brand. So one we call share of voice. And that's the number of media articles or social media discussions that are about us, about CPAL. So technically for your company, when you're doing, versus the entire industry. Now, how do you measure the entire industry? And that's where the practicality goes. So figure out something that's easy to measure. So what we have done is we have taken the 15 competitors that we have. So 15 firms in our industry. And what we do is we look every month. So what are the articles that have been published for those 15 and for us, and what percentage of the total is CPAL? And we do that actually every month, and that's how we measure share of voice. Similarly, we look at social media, and you can go, for example, on LinkedIn. We look at LinkedIn, their followers and our followers, and we see, again, these 15, what's the number of their followers, how are we doing, and we measure if our market share is growing of the share of voice. So that's the share of voice. And I think that is a way to bring in some discipline and some really objectivity about these really soft things such as brand recognition and social media. The other one is a bit easier to define, the ranking on third-party sites. So for us, we care and we look at sites, rankings on sites like Gartner, GetUp, Capterra, G2. So we actually do follow and we see, you know, I actually have our marketing communications manager. He's tasked with making sure that we are first, hopefully, but definitely in the top 3, 4 on all the top 5 sites. And then the third one is Net Promoter Score. I love this one actually because it's a metric that measures passion. I'll get in the details of how we measure it, but this is a metric that tells you what's the ratio of the people that love you, the people that love your firm, and the people that hate you. And it kind of takes away relative to kind of the total clients that you have or the total consultants, depending on where you do it. So it kind of takes away the people that are like, okay, lukewarm, and you truly look at the ones that are your champions and the detractors. So here's how you measure it. Now, obviously, you can tweak the specific formula, but a simple way to do it is if you have your clients or your consultants, and I actually encourage you to do it for both, have them rank your firm on a scale, let's say, of 1 to 10. And what you should do is you take the ones that have rated you very high. So for us, we take ones that rank us 8 or higher, and then subtract the number of the extremely unhappy customers or unhappy consultants that rank you 3 or lower. And then divide the total number by all of the ones that you have received. So, and that will give you the Net Promoter Score. I mean, again, it's a number, but I think it's a number that is important, and it's something that we do care. I do follow, and I encourage you to calculate it both for your consultants and your alumni, in addition to your clients. I think you'll measure the true sentiment of the experience of people dealing with your organization on multiple fronts. We, for example, at CPAL, I actually care about our clients, but I actually even run an internal one where, as a marketing organization, I ask our sales team to rank us, and we run a quarterly Net Promoter Score for marketing just to make sure that internally to see how we're doing, in addition to the external one that we measure. Now, so that's on the Net Promoter Score. And in fact, just to get back to that thing, there's an easy way for you to automate it. So with CPAL, what you can do is you can actually set the trigger-based campaigns emails. So you can just automatically send emails to all your consultants, all your clients at a set period of time. You can define when, and you can send them a simple questionnaire that they can answer. So it's quite actually easy to implement. And if you have any questions, I strongly encourage you to talk to your contact at CPAL, because this is something you can automate really simply. And I think you really appreciate the data. It's something that's usually hard to get, and you get it anecdotally. You get consistent data from your clients, your consultants, your alumni, your employees. Really valuable stuff. To me, this data and reading about it, which you can also add in these surveys, has been truly informative. So I talked about measuring brand, right? So, okay, great. So we can measure brand and so on, but what do you do about it? It's such a kind of, again, a difficult topic. How do you build a brand? How do you measure it? And the truth is, it's not easy. It takes time. There's not really like magic wand. Of course, you can buy a lot of leads. You can go and close some deals, but really to establish your reputation, to establish your brand, takes time. That said, I mean, yes, it takes time. But you also, there are some things that you can do, and I strongly encourage that you consider. So one of them is thought leadership. And I know a lot of us, everybody's thinking, well, who am I? What can I do as thought leadership? So I'm the CEO or president of a staffing firm. There's so many different staffing firms. Why would I be a thought leader? My statement to you is, don't underestimate yourself. You have a lot to say. Your peers really value what you have to say. So go post on LinkedIn. And initially it's hard. I mean, it happened the same to me. It's tough. You have to get disciplined, and you're like, okay, what am I saying? Take the time. I just, prepare a little bit, but then cross the threshold. Start posting regularly on LinkedIn. Share your experiences. Share about some of the successes that you have. Share about some of the challenges. You'll be surprised. People really love to get engaged and to answer to you. But comment on other things. Comment your opinion about the industry. That really, really will elevate yourself and also your firm. Because as a leader in your firm, people look to you. If they really respect you and think you're a leader in the industry and someone that has something to say, they would value your company. Consultants would want to come work for you. Clients would want to work with you. The other thing is, speak at webinars. There are opportunities. So, for example, we have a series of webinars, and we regularly invite clients. We invite other industry leaders. So if you're interested, obviously we'd love to have you. And that's an easy opportunity. Quite often you'll be on a panel with others. And again, you elevate your brand. You present yourself as a thought leader. You're jointly part of the industry and driving for a better outcome, for a better experience. And participate at events. I mean, CPAL Connect, what I'm really, really excited about is that we had a very successful first CPAL Connect. We had 1,500 registrants, over 750 people, I believe, 780 live attendees. And here we are at this event. We had even more. We had interest and support from partners. We had support from clients. So there was an opportunity, there was an interest, and we'd love to involve everyone, because at the end of the day, we're in this industry together. We're trying to make our way through changing times, different business climate, different challenges. But it's a cliche, we're all in this together. But at the end of the day, if we team up with others and we work together and we share our opinions, good things happen. So don't be shy. It really, really will help your firm. Now, let's go to the other side, to the other thing, review campaigns. So I talked about sending these automated emails, and I think you can get great testimonials. You can get great feedback from your consultants, your clients. The other thing that's quite interesting and quite good is review campaigns on third-party sites. So I'll share what we do. And for us, again, it matters. These third-party sites, as I mentioned, Capterra's, Software Advice, and there's so many. But what our clients say about us is really important, because whenever somebody's deciding whether to take your business, whether you're a staffing firm or whether you're a software provider like us, yes, they would be impressed by your sales team's presentation. They would like what you have to say, but they will do their research. And an easy way is to just go browse the internet and look at these third-party review sites or wherever things are and read about this firm. What do they say about your firm? So I think you really need to go and actively manage it. And the fact is, it's actually quite simple. It's not, I mean, sometimes it looks daunting and say, what am I to do? I'm so busy and so different things. I'll share with you what we started doing. So in the past, we would go to clients and we would ask them, and it was really an effort both for the clients and for us to keep doing it, manually, and it happens sometimes, and sometimes it's more difficult. So what we've done now is we've implemented an automated software to do it. I mean, the one we use is called Rise Reviews. And what it does is that it automatically sends a request to all of our clients to just review us. And sometimes you can offer a reward and so on. And honestly, like a $5 Starbucks gift certificate is probably totally worth for people to give you a review. So what happens with Rise Reviews is that our support team gets all the reviews, and if you have a problem, we can actually jump and solve it. Because quite often, actually, you'll be surprised. You'll have a client that will be really unhappy with how things are going. But because you haven't asked them, or maybe your salesperson wasn't good enough and so on, you have no real way to cut through the fog and figure out what's going on. And with these reviews, you can quickly monitor and figure out. So it gives us a way to identify clients that something's wrong, they're not happy. You can go and save it. You don't have to lose the client. You don't have to get into a mess. You can see this early on. So our support team gets these reviews and is able to react and often save a bad situation. And if we are proactive, you'll be surprised. You can turn your people that are unhappy into your biggest champions. So what it also does, this is why I like these reputation management softwares. What Rise Reviews does is that if you actually are really happy with us and you really like what CPAL is doing, it'll automatically prompt you to say, hey, appreciate so much that you're happy. Would you mind to go and give us a positive review on one of these sites? And you can actually control, where the site goes. So it's all automated. And to be honest, it's quite cost effective. So it's under $100. I think if you're a smaller firm, you may actually get it for under $50 a month. It's quite easy to implement and just keeps going. And I think it's totally worth it. So that's something that you should consider, because again, your brand matters, and easy things, easy attention without doing too much can really help you monitor it. And the other thing is collaborate. Team up with respected industry leaders. Team up, as I mentioned, you can be part of panels, you can be part of different conferences, you can do various things. So for us, CPAL Connect is an example. We very much want to help the industry. We want to team up with the industry leaders, with our clients, with our prospects, with other industry leaders, the people that are driving the strategy, and bring in interesting topics that are informative and helpful. I personally truly believe that by doing CPAL Connect and helping the industry out, it very, very much helps the CPAL brand, because it helps show what we stand behind and how and that we truly are part of this industry that we want to help. So another example of what we've done, we, for example, teamed up with TechServe Alliance, the association, and we jointly developed a staffing industry index where we measure on a month-to-month. They do it for us anonymously because obviously we're a vendor and we don't want to see the data, but we're driving jointly interest, and we have this index that measures how is the industry doing from new business, from consultants and so on. And you can actually, if you participate, get your index and benchmark yourself against each other. But again, that's another example where team up with leaders. It could be being at events, it could be producing something useful that your brand is there and you're at the end. And again, you don't have to do anything big. You just want to be out there and you'll help your firm. So again, in conclusion, the key to brand building is engage your potential clients and consultants in a non-sales context. Your sales team will do a great job. I'm confident on that. As a leader or as a marketer that's responsible for building the brand, try to give something to your prospects. Try to give something to your consultants, because they would appreciate it and your brand will be so much better off. Now, in conclusion, accountability matters. And when it comes to marketing and to sales, there are all these horror stories. And I firmly believe that metrics and accountability really is the key to success. So what is your marketing team accountable for? I mean, they should be accountable for the number of clients they bring, the number of leads they generate. If you're running any paid campaigns, what's the success of these campaigns? If you're are you bringing in consultants or so on? Are you bringing in clients? The number of brand events with number of attendees, whether you've participated and kind of what the impact has been, if anything you've organized, and are you following the budget? Simple metrics. I think every organization should follow them. Then we have on the sales side, the number of sales per quarter, overall gross margin, win versus loss ratio, number of outbound calls, meetings, demos, prospects that have been defined. At the end of the day, I think what's key is to have transparency, and sales and marketing should work together. I mean, it's really a team, and that's the only way your firm can be successful. So define the team that's accountable. And yes, you may have a large sales organization and just one or a few people. You may have consultants on marketing. Still, metrics drive success. They drive transparency. I think if you define who's accountable at what phase of the customer journey, you really will be better off. So that's the conclusion of my presentation. As you can tell, I truly believe in metrics, but I also believe in pragmatic metrics, in something that is pragmatic and useful and really easily measurable, actionable, something that your executives can think and put into the strategy. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm open if there are any questions. So obviously, I'll be happy to answer now.
Okay, great. We do have a couple questions from the audience, so I'll just kick them off. So the first one is, it harkens back to the NSP score that you talked about earlier. And someone was just wondering, so when you do that internally in your organization, where you run that by your sales team or your marketing team, how do you then respond to those metrics in a productive way? So depending on the criticism, like if your sales wants your marketing team to go well, how do you respond to your sales team while prioritizing your marketing specific metrics?
Yeah, great question. So it's interesting. I'm very keen on really trying to go and understand more and answer. And initially, honestly, I actually wanted to make it like named to know who answered what. And I was advised that it's better to keep it anonymous. So we turned ours and we made it anonymous. So we don't know who answered from the sales team. But the way that, so we had 6 questions. And from overall how marketing is doing overally, then we went into details about demand generation, about PR, about the content, and so on. And we gave them the ability to rank us, but we also left some open text with ideas and suggestions. And actually, that part I loved, because there were some really, really great ideas. So what I did after that is and actually I plan to do this every quarter, is we're having a meeting with marketing and sales where transparently, I actually do plan and will be publishing every quarter how we do. No matter whether it's good or bad, I want to publish and And I commit to addressing each of the areas and each of these. So discussed it. I actually had a few discussions with my peer, the VP sales, with Subhash at CPAL, and also with asked my team to learn more and about the different ideas and suggestions. Tried to collect feedback and what to happen, and we did make changes. And then when I spoke to the sales team, we discussed. I discussed what I heard, what the suggestions were, and what changes we'll make. Now, I hope that these changes will have an impact. I'll find out actually at the end of this quarter. And if they do, great, we'll do more of them. If we don't, we'll do more. I think transparency is key. And my suggestion is, don't be afraid. I mean, maybe the first time you run it, you'll get really, really bad scores. I mean, that's the fact. That's the truth. And whether that's fair or not, that's not the question. The question is, how does your organization feel about you? Or if you include your consultants or alumni, why do they rank it this way? So dig deeper and try to understand. You will find things that you'll be very pleased that you learned, simple things you can change that I think will make a big difference.
Okay, great. Okay, cool. Our next question is also about marketing sales collaboration. So in your experience, in the ideal scenario, where does the baton handoff happen between marketing and sales in preparing a prospect? So is marketing involved through the initial stages of the sales process? Like, where exactly does that handoff happen? And what does it look like ideally for you?
That's a very good question. I think that's where sometimes tension can happen, and it really could. I think it's important to have very open and clear communication with between whoever's responsible for marketing and responsible for sales. I've been in different firms and things have been different. I think a lot it depends on the type of business and the type of client. So I'll just give you an example. For large deals, I've worked at really big enterprise sales deals that take a long time to close. That's a very sales-driven process, and marketing plays a supporting role all across. And then if you're in a business that has more of a software as a service or kind of a smaller deal that there's more transactions, there it's slightly better defined. So marketing is responsible for driving qualified leads, qualified opportunities, and then so for us, for example, the way that I measure my team is. So we would qualify, we'll bring in the leads, and then the sales team will accept it. And if it converts and they pursue it and they add it to their pipeline, that's success for us. So for me at CPAL, basically addition of this, acceptance from sales in addition to the pipeline is what's success. Now, at the end of the day, when we get to the board meeting, what gets reported is what percentage of the business was driven by marketing. So at the end of the day, that's what they look at. So I do care about how they convert, but I think it's really important for me as head of marketing to watch how we're doing on providing the leads and leave it to the sales organization to figure out how they close. It's not my job to discuss or provide an opinion or without being asked about how they proceed with the process. It's my job to provide qualified leads that sales clearly likes and values and turns into a pipeline. Okay,
great. Okay, one more question here and then we'll wrap up. So the next question is, if you're a small staffing agency, this harkens back to building brand. We had a question. Mm-hmm. If you're a small staffing agency, how do you go about reaching out to industry partners? So how do you establish yourself as credible enough that they would partner with you to then build your brand further? So just getting the ball rolling.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So there are multiple ways you could do it. So for a lot of look to your vendors first. I mean, so you probably have an applicant tracking system. If it's CPAL, reach out to us because so a lot of your vendors and suppliers that you're getting, they really are looking for ways to learn and to kind of be in touch with the industry. So reach out to them and say, hey, look, I'd love to do a webinar to be part of something with you. You'll be surprised. They would really jump at it. So again, all your clients, if you work with them and provide a case study and try to get some, something to be in return, some way of being promoted, that would work. The other thing is as you can actually schedule fairly cost effectively and easily some webinars and presentations yourself, and invite some of your alumni or some of your clients to speak. They will be often responsive to that, and I think your clients and your suppliers are really a quick way to go there. Another thing is, if you attend different conferences, look for opportunities to participate in panels. So a lot of these panels, they in conferences, they need to really include practicing staffing firms. They're quite interested in not only in the big ones, but to understand how the small ones and the challenges. So if you're attending conferences, do inquire, and whether, again, it's through your clients or your vendors, or simply just go and ask to the conference and say, listen, I'm quite interested in participating in a panel like that. Is there an opportunity? It likely will happen. So that's my advice. And I think once you start the ball rolling, it gets easier because you start establishing your reputation, and you likely will be asked more and more.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think those were all the questions we had today. So Peter, thank you so much for a great presentation. To all of our attendees, thank you for coming and joining us for CPAL Connect. Again, this session will be available recorded and on demand through the CPAL website.